say namaste, what are we saying? The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. This is the work that we're doing on a practical level. So radical renewal, this is the season. This is what we've been doing. It asks us to be reborn, right? To find new ways of interpreting the world, understanding the world. Now, I started my conversation with you talking about this spiritual truth. What we need most requires us to give it away. Want love? Give love. And I know it feels counterintuitive sometimes because we've bought into this myth that love is finite, that there's only so much love that we have. That's incorrect. It's a myth. It's a myth. Love isn't limited. We will not run out of a supply of love. Oh, Kim. Yes, indeed. That was fabulous. You'll notice we've been doing a little bit of changing up with the music, right? We've got three celebration members, is it? We've got Roderick is in Italy. Lori is in Paris. And Reggie is on a cruise somewhere in the Caribbean, all right? So well done, right? They deserve some R&R, but we still have amazing musicians in the house. So thank you, Kim, Paul. All right, so last week, what did I leave you with? Last week, I left you with this spiritual truth. What we need most requires us to give it away, right? I mean, the drafts are telling you, right? Want love? Give love, right? Want to be trusted? Give your trust to someone, right? Want to feel hope? Give hope to someone. Give hope to someone that they feel that there's a reason to wake up the next day. Now, I know it seems simple in theory, sometimes a little difficult to do. But I gave you guys homework last week, right, for the thing that you want to give. Were you able to give some away this week? Give a little love. Give a little compassion. Give a little trust? Trust? Okay. What were the experiences like for you? I see. Rewarding. Thank you, Opal, for being present. So grateful. Somebody's with me. Thank you, baby. Any other responses? Yeah. Scary. Oh, interesting. Do you want to say a little bit more about that? Yeah, you said it. I so appreciate your honesty. She said she had to talk herself into it. You know why? Because it's not our norm. It's not the way that we operate on this plane of existence. We are creating a new. Mwah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And here's the thing. We spend so much of our time looking for love and to be loved. And we so often look outside of ourselves to someone else, to someone who may see us, value us, love us. But you know what? We didn't start off this way. When we came here on the planet, we were really clear. We're wonderful and special. We also knew that we are so lovable and we are here to be love. It was clear. We were here to be the magnificence that is God as us. No questions. And then what happens? We get indoctrinated. We learn the rules of the road, known as society, right? How to operate in our families, how to operate in religious constructs, how to operate in jobs. And then somehow we got to believe that our value was based on someone else's perception of us. That our worth hinged on what we do, what we look like, how we dress, how much money we make, how educated we are, and all the other labels that we want to stick on each other. But you know what the really soul-destroying piece of that is? That we believe their perceptions of us. That we believe their perceptions of us is true. That's what's soul-destroying. And then, oftentimes, we come to believe that we're not lovable. In the book, Love is the Answer, written by Dr. Gerald Jampolsky and Diane Cirincione, they write this: our past perceptions become our current projections as we leave our focus on the present and slip into the past, unresolved pain and fear. Both our minds and our relationships become hostages to the past as we project the pain and conflict of old situations onto the present. What the authors are saying to us is that as long as we hold on to those past beliefs and hurts without doing our work, we perpetuate pain and suffering, not only on ourselves, but those we are in current relationships with in the present. So how do we do this? How do we move forward? We move forward first by looking at what are our beliefs. What are our beliefs about ourselves? And then challenging those erroneous beliefs, creating new beliefs of what is really true for us, right? And then forgiving ourselves and forgiving others, while being willing to come into alignment with our knowing, with our truth, which is we are God in skin. God in skin, made to love and be loved. So today at Unity Church of the Hills, we're here to support you on your quest of love by sharing ways that you can be open-hearted and fully present. Open-hearted and fully present with yourself, and it's through the gift of self-empathy. Now, some people haven't heard that term used before or have experienced that term before, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But self-empathy is vital for us to be fully able to express love. You see, by allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and open, we have the possibility of creating unconditional love for ourselves and then for others. And it's only when we're able to deeply and profoundly love ourselves that we will be able to witness that depth in another. Make sense? But before we kind of dive into that self-empathy, what I really want to do is remind you of our third principle. What does our third principle say? I've got a clue. I've got a clue. I've got a clue. Co-creating with God, right? Co-creating with God. And my question to you is, what or who are we co-creating with? The universe. Yes. The universe, what else? Each other. Great. What else?
Divine intelligence.
Divine intelligence, omniscience, I heard that, yes, right? So something greater than ourselves. We can name it God, Elohim, Allah, Ganesh. It doesn't matter what name we use. It's all one. It's all one. And how are we co-creating? What do we do to co-create? You know, that's our board president, Frank. That's right. I know your voice. Thoughts held in mind. Thoughts held in consciousness. Beautifully done. Now, here's where we get a little confused about this concept, right? It's not about the dense, random thought that streaks through our mind, right? So if you see something you really don't like and you go, oh, that stinks, right? That's not the time now where you go into freak out mode and go, oh my God, I'm going to create pandemonium in my life. No. No, that's not true. It's just a quick judgment of something that you're witnessing, that you're experiencing, that you make that thought comes from. What we're talking about are thoughts that we're holding, And when we talk about holding thoughts, we're talking about our beliefs, my friends. We're talking about our judgments. We're talking about our criticisms. We're talking about our worldviews. That's what we create from. Is that clearer? I know I'm a little passionate about that. I see you, Will, over there just chuckling at me. But yes, because, sometimes I have friends that go around and they'll say something silly, right? Oh, I'm so stupid. And then there's this whole right? And cancel, delete, oh my God. No, it's about, if you're holding that in your consciousness that you are stupid, then yes, that is something that we need to look at, because then you're going to create that world, that life for you, where you're constantly reinforced that you're stupid. Yes? That's the power of co-creation, my friends. That's the power. So, to be empathetic to ourselves, it starts with our awareness of what our beliefs are, the beliefs that we're holding. So if we are holding beliefs that, I feel like I'm never enough and I'm just not lovable, if that's core beliefs for you, then all the dating apps in the world are not going to bring you the love of your life. Let's go there. It's not going to happen, right? But it will happen when you discern that you are the love that you have been waiting for. That's when it happens. You, the divine essence of you, is what you've been waiting for your whole life. So self-empathy asks us to become aware of our thoughts, the thoughts that we're having, and then become aware of the feelings that kind of manifest from those thoughts, right? And then we have some work to do there. Now, there are some of us that work a little opposite, and I'm one of those people. So for me, I'm like, dun, 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 dun. Feeling happens, and it's like, oh, what thought am I holding that created that feeling? So that's how it works for me. So if you're in that category, that's okay. Deconstruct from wherever it becomes in your awareness. Make sense? Give me something. Give me something. Thank you. Okay, and when we're doing this work, it means not being critical of yourself. Not being critical as you do this spiritual work. Not being like, oh my God, here I am again. I can't believe it's all about my mom again. No, right? It's like, here's an awareness. Okay, let's do the work here. Okay, and then we move on, and we grow, and we build. So there's this technique that I want to share with you that is going to help you with self-empathy. But I'm going to give you a scenario, because sometimes it helps us to work through our understanding of processes when we have a scenario. So here's the scenario. That beautiful picture was taken by Reggie, who's away, but I just think it's a gorgeous representation of this community. So let's say you come into this sanctuary, and suddenly you hear yourself thinking, it's not the same like it used to be here. I'm not seeing the usual faces. Someone is sitting in my seat. I've got no one to go out with after church today. Okay, so you hear those thoughts, they come into your awareness. Here's some techniques. First thing, place your hand on your head, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what story or judgment or belief are you holding? What story, what judgment, belief are you holding? And then listen for the response. Perhaps it's the belief of a past story of abandonment. Perhaps. Then place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and name the emotions that you're feeling and where do they reside. A couple of weeks ago, Jean, who does the 8 a.m. service, defined emotions or feelings as sensations because they do live in our bodies. So this is why we're determining where these are. And perhaps you feel a sense of sadness and loss, and maybe it's right in your heart area. The next step is then to place your hands on your tummy area. Take another deep breath. What needs are being expressed as thoughts and feelings, right? So in this instance, what is the need? Perhaps it's a need of belonging. Perhaps it's a need of feeling loved and connected. And once you discern the need, then allow your hands to be on your lap, palms up, taking that breath again, right? And then decide what action can you take or ask for to get that need met. And then you may decide that what you're needing here in this instance is connection, you know? Or maybe you're wanting the church to be the same that it was. And what you felt before was really connection, right? It's coming down to connection. And so then your actions could be possibly asking someone that you don't really know well, but you feel there's a spark, there's a little tug there, asking them to go to lunch with you. Or maybe it's calling old friends up and saying, hey, let's go for coffee. We do this work so that we are awake and clear and conscious, so that we are not running around hurting and damaging each other with these unmet needs that we aren't aware of, that are asking to be met. We do this work so that we know that we can meet our own needs, and it's okay to have those needs, right? And then this is a diagram here that you can either take a picture of now or you can Google online. You can Google for nonviolent communication and self-empathy and on images, and that will come up. And I like it because it's very simplistic and it shows you what to do. What do you think of this process that I'm sharing with you? Yeah? Okay. For me, it makes no sense for me to come up here and say, you know what? We all need love. Let's just love each other, right? How many times have you heard that in church? Just love each other, right? But my thing is, how do we do it? What practical things can we do to look at ourselves, to look at the areas that are blocking us, to then clear those areas, to really then be engaged, fully present, whole, vulnerable, open? This is why I do the work I do. I believe in this. The other aspect that I want you to be aware of as you're doing this work of self-empathy is to be aware of the internalized shoulds. You know how we should all over ourselves, right? And that causes us really deep pain. Rosenberg writes, the word should comes directly from this game of violence that implies there's a good and a bad, a should and a shouldn't. If you don't do the things you should do, you should be punished. If you do the right things, you should be rewarded. When we use the word should, what we're doing really is blaming ourselves and others. Hear that, should, blaming ourselves and others. Should is a criticism. And when we use the word should on ourselves, I want you to reframe this, okay? If in your internal dialogue you're hearing the word should, I should not have done that, I should have done that, right? Be aware that you realize you were trying to get a need met by the action that you took, and it didn't work out the way that you thought. Got it? Trying to get a need met by your behavior, by your action, but it didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. Okay, and in that reframing then, I'm inviting you, I'm actually asking you to release the criticism. Here you are, you had a need, you thought, I'll go about it this way. That's the best thing that you knew at that time to do. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourselves. You see, once we make this translation, we can then practice self-empathy without the blame and shame. Rosenberg says this, NVC helps us learn how to create peace within ourselves when there's a conflict between what we do and what we wish we had done. Man, I wish I knew this like when I was a teenager in high school. This would have been game-changing for me. I was such a geek, pretty confused. I mean, if somebody told me this, I'm like, wow, I feel empowered, I feel okay, I feel human.
Rev Sheree,
Yes.
can you tell us, for the folks that don't know, what NVC means?
Nonviolent communication, thank you. Yes, I do acronyms. Okay, thank you. Okay, so once we're able to have compassion and empathy for ourselves, the next step is the ability then to have unconditional love of ourselves. And once we have unconditional love of ourselves, guess what? It's possible to have unconditional love for others. You getting this? Okay. This comes from Speak Peace in a World by Rosenberg. Empathic connection is an understanding of the heart in which we see the beauty in the other person, the divine energy in the other person, the life that's alive in them. We connect with it. The goal isn't intellectual understanding it. The goal is empathically connecting with it. Hear the difference? This is real life application of namaste, my friends. It can't get more spiritual than this. Do you get it? When we say namaste, what are we saying? Right. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The divinity in me bows to the divinity in you. This is the work that we're doing on a practical level. This is what we're doing. So radical renewal, this is the season, this is what we've been doing. It asks us to be reborn, right? To find new ways of interpreting the world, understanding the world. Now, I started my conversation with you talking about this spiritual truth. What we need most requires us to give it away. Want love? Give love. And I know it feels counterintuitive sometimes, because we've bought into this myth that love is finite, that there's only so much love that we have. That's incorrect. It's a myth. It's a myth. Love isn't limited. We will not run out of a supply of love. It's not possible. So when we give love, it simply expands. It simply expands within us, so that that love becomes deeper and sweeter. There is no scarcity. There is no loss. There is no not enough love. There is. This is Love is Letting Go of Fear, and this is written by Gerald Jampolsky. This is one of the books I probably got in the 80s when I started this process. I really love this author. He writes this: when we are feeling unloved and depressed and empty inside, finding someone to give us love is not really the solution. What is helpful is to love someone else totally and with no exceptions. That love then is simultaneously given to ourselves. The other person doesn't have to change or give us anything. Can you imagine? They don't have to do anything. I'm here to remind you, love is simply who we are meant to be. Our life purpose is to love. You know, I have a friend, and I really like this friend, but I'm one of those people, I'll talk and love you verbally that way. That's kind of one of the things that I do. And I recognized the other day, she just doesn't affirm me. And I'm thinking, oh, really? My human thought? What was my human thought? Screw, told me, screw you. I'm not gonna affirm her, right? That was my human thought. My human thought was, I'm not gonna affirm her if that's, not, maybe that's not their love language or whatever. And then I realized, oh, That's not who I am. That's not who I'm meant to be either, right? And the amount of energy I would have had to do to try to, was crazy. And then I thought, well, why am I in a relationship with this person, right? And I recognized that this person, they're in a male-dominated field. They're surrounded by men. No, but you guys normally don't go, mwah, 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 right? It's just how it is. And I realized that they do things. When I was sick, a huge pot of soup came to my door. They share experiences. We play and have fun together. So that's the way that they love. And in that moment of awareness, it's like, love means I don't have to love that person and get it back specifically from them and specifically in the way that I think I should be getting it back either, right? We are simply here to be the frequency of love. We are simply here to be the frequency of love. That's what we're here to do. I often hear from folks when they talk about this community that, they love it, they feel that love when they come through the door, but it's really hard to connect sometimes. They want that connection. They want that love. What's the answer? What's the answer to that conundrum? Thank you. Give the connection, right? Give the reaching out to someone. Give of yourself. You see, community, this community, if you want to feel a part of it, it requires you to give of yourself. This, my friend, this is how we are going to be resurrected as the church of Christ, the church of divinity, the church that is the beacon to this Austin community. I hope you'll join me. Namaste.